You know, I never thought I would be this happy to see Goku again in the manga doing something that wasn't in a movie that we've already seen. So here we are, folks, chapter 101, Carmine and Soldier number 15. Now, if you're confused as to why number 15 is now here and relevant after the fact that he got decked in the schnoz by Gohan, all of your answers will become clear later on in the review. But I just have to point out here that this chapter is worth your time because it is leading to something that hopefully we will be really enjoying in the coming months and in the coming year. Because quite frankly, 2023 was a terrible year for any Dragon Ball fan. It was basically a year in limbo. And if you want to find out more about what's been going on in the manga, you can go and check out the review of the entire arc. It'll just save you a lot of time and a lot of frustration. This chapter is worth your time because of the main fact it can do what it wants finally. And what it wants to do, seemingly, is make more of Carmine, for the fact that the manga basically did nothing with Carmine and turned him into a generic minion. And that's a real shame because he was quite an eccentric character in the movie, and Toyotaro just boiled him down to another generic minion who just so happens to have a very eccentric haircut. So we do get Carmine coming back with the guy that got whacked by Pan, and then got sent to the slaughter with Gohan, and Carmine got beaten down by Pan as well. It's just a good thing that Pan isn't here, because I imagine if she were here, he would have run away lickety-split and gone like, nope, 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 no, 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 no. What they made really clear is that the Red Ribbon Army isn't coming back again, because Gohan and Piccolo basically just wasted them, and Carmine sees no point in bringing it back a third time, or even technically a fourth time, if you count Dr. Gero as well. But either way, them being around, it's not going to happen. So what they got to do is make use of the resources and money that are still locked away safely so they can still trade to a certain extent and try and do other things. Like in the case of this chapter, they can use their money to try and buy superheroes into doing their bidding for them. And you'll be very confused as to how easily he is able to convince Goten and Trunks to do his bidding. Because to get them into the story again, them back as Saiyamen X1 and 2, they are punching bank robbers again. It's always about the banks, isn't it? It's always a bank. Great Saiyaman, always taking down bank robbers. Great Saiyawoman, it's always bank robbers. We were introduced with Saiyamen X1 and 2 with bank robbers. It's always about the banks. Trunks is punching somebody who I hope is either Van Zant from the Boo Saga or the son of Van Zant, because his entire lineage should be punished for daring to hurt the dog of B. And we are then introduced into them. They're kicking butt. They're no longer grounded and they can do what they want. Probably they've talked to their parents and they're okay with it. And maybe Dr. Hedo's involved with it as some kind of side project away from doing cosmetics for Bulma. And it leads to one particular shot, I'll show it right here, that Trunks is nappaing a bank robber. So you got that bit where Goku holds Nappa up like that. There's a mimic right there. There's a nice little reference. He then tells the bank robbers to clean up their act, which they end up doing literally later on in the chapter, and to swear off crime forever. Because that's how it works in real life, doesn't it, folks? You tell a bank robber, don't you do that thing again and clean up your act, and they go, yes, sir. Oh, yes, absolutely, sir. And then you actually see them with a mop. Yeah, it doesn't happen like that. And I'm just really confused here. Is that how do Goten and Trunks not know who Carmine is? Because I'm pretty sure at one point, Pan would have been going on about her adventures and her punching this weird guy with the weird haircut. And she would have been like, and then there was this one guy who I punched in the face because he was daring to hurt me. And he had this really weird, long, curly haircut or something. It was really weird. Yeah, a 3-year-old's going to be really excited about that, especially since it's technically her first fight. So why don't they just go, hey, wait a minute, it's that guy, get him! They don't do that. Instead, Carmine and Officer 15 take them to Red Pizza because they own everything, apparently. So I don't begrudge them. Mad megalomaniacs and scientists, they gotta eat. And he's able to convince them over pizza, the teenagers' dream food, to do their bidding. And it's just classic thing. And you definitely know that Trunks is Vegeta's kid. is that Carmine plays down to the fact that, oh, I know that, oh, you like to avoid confrontations where they are stronger than you. Is that meaning that you're weak and that you might not be able to take the task? And naturally, Trunks with his rattled hormones go, hey, I can do whatever I want. I can beat every single person on the planet. I'll do your bidding for you because that's the point of the plot. It's effectively the teenage version of going, you see, the funny thing is, I know you're playing me. That kind of thing. It's basically that. All the while, Goten's just happy to be there. He's taking pictures through the glass to people, and he's just being chill. Goten is absolutely chill, and I'm so happy for the kid. Whereas Trunks is just completely insecure. He's completely frustrated in multiple ways because he's also wanting to impress Mai, because he's wanting to have this all photographed and filmed for their social medias, and I want to really impress Mai with my superhero skills. Yeah. I'm not really bothered about that because the pacing of this, if this had been going on in the movie, this would have taken up half the chapter. Luckily for this, it only takes up a quarter of the chapter, because where we go is back to Beerus' planet, and we get this really cool sparring fight between Vegeta and Broly, with the prince constantly goading Broly to go super and prove me a real challenge after the fact I beat Kakarot. I can do anything in the world. I am an invincible prince. But Broly shows some genuinely good character development in that you expect him to go crazy, but he doesn't go crazy, and he's able to hold his own. And he is showing really, really good progress, much like what he did when he was fighting Goku in the movie and earlier on in the superhero arc. That is really, really cool. So we get both Saiyans fighting Broly, and they come up with some really good choreography. And I'm betting you that Toyotaro was so happy to do this particular bit. This entire sequence looked like a lot of fun. And it does show that Toyotaro is genuinely progressing in a meaningful manner. This was a really good bit of refreshing content. And I know that's really weird considering this is Dragon Ball, how this is all brand new. But, you know, all the superhero stuff, it just washed over me because I'd already seen it. Sure, there might have been some things that Toyotaro added, some things that were cut to just make things a little trimmer, but no, this was a genuine sparring session that we haven't seen in Dragon Ball for an extremely long time in the manga, and this was just glorious. The pacing here is so much better. We're not having to wait an entire chapter to then see this fight that might only take place in 4 or 5 pages. No, this bit takes up the majority of the chapter, or the antics on Beerus' planet. We are now starting to see everything being set up for the next arc in a quite organic manner. Like, what have they been up to on Beerus' planet? Oh, okay. Vegeta, now that he's recovered, he's fighting Broly. That's really cool. Broly's managed to get a good handle on his abilities, but at the cost of not extending his full potential. Okay, Broly is able to control his faculties in a much more meaningful manner, but it does mean that he's leaving power on the table that will become important, as Chilai points out, when Black Frieza returns. Black Frieza! The Black Frieza is real! But throughout all of this, the fact that Vegeta is still, after all the things he's been through in his entire life, goading the guy that he's fighting to go to his full potential. Did he not learn a single thing from his fight with Cell? I want you to fight me at your full potential, and I don't care about the consequences and how badly injured I'll be. And then Broly goes for it, he destroys Beerus' planet, and then the remains of Vegeta just goes, oh, worth it. Oh no, sorry, no. Oh, worth it. But hey, I'm glad that Vegeta's feeling quite smug, and he is constantly rubbing it in Goku's face that, yeah, our last battle, Kakarot, I beat you. You lost to me. I can't tell you how many requests I've received for Lanny and I to actually voice that page. That bit where Vegeta's being all smug. Goku's like, highlight of your life. That was kind of amusing, I gotta admit. But I am so pleased that Broly doesn't lose his cool. That is a good thing. It really does show some progress in him. This wasn't a case of padding. This was something we are being shown that, hey, stuff has been happening in the background. And once again, Chilai makes a point about Black Frieza, and they're like, oh yeah, we gotta do that thing. And then of course Goku has a boner for Frieza for the fact that, aw, he trained for a decade for me? Aw, that's so sweet. And then Beerus has to remind him about the whole thing about what Roshi told him originally when he was a kid, about how there'll always be someone stronger than him. And this is just another example of that, so this really shouldn't come as a surprise. But as we've seen in the Super manga, Goku does tend to forget some fundamental truths that have been really propping up his life. But there is a mistranslation here, courtesy of Super Chronicles. He pointed this out, that Whis explains that Gohan and Piccolo alone took down the likes of Cell Max, where in reality, in the manga, it was more of a group effort. So I'm sorry, Viz translators, you completely just washed everyone away. It was a team effort led by Gohan and Piccolo. There is a difference here. They weren't just watching like we normally see in Dragon Ball. Maybe that's what they thought, because we've been conditioned that, oh, it's just usually one or two characters doing it. Most often than not, it's somebody with the name starting with Go. But I do find it funny, though, that Beerus forgot that Gohan was Goku's kid. It just really shows how little impression Gohan made throughout Dragon Ball Super. Well, I mean, of course, until the Tournament of Power. But yeah, that was amusing. But then we find out why Officer number 15 turns up is because we're going to Gohan's house. And this is another red flag here. Surely Goten and Trunks had been to Gohan and Videl's house before. Surely they would have recognized the route and go like, hey, wait a second. Aren't we going to Gohan's place? Oh, dang, that's Gohan's place. Why are we here? And then they could have easily backed out from it. We could have had a confrontation, but no. It becomes clear that this is why we're going here. We need to have an excuse to get Goku back to Earth, and what better way to do it than to recycle what we've already done in a previous arc and just get Gohan mad. And the result of it is that now we find out he can just go beast mode immediately. This is now his main power, so I'm guessing that Gohan doesn't need to go Ultimate or Super Saiyan. He can just go straight to beast mode now, and that is enough to trigger Goku's abilities and ki. He transmits back to Earth, and now Goku's back on Earth again, and we can continue with the plot. And the chapter ends. And I know what we're going to get for the next chapter. It's going to be Goku and Gohan Beast. We're going to have true Ultra Instinct Goku and Gohan Beast fighting, and that is going to appeal immensely to the hardcore Dragon Ball Z fans. We are going to see a proper fight here, folks, and I reckon that Toyotaro is going to have a lot of fun here because these are two characters he likes, especially Gohan, and this is something I think will be really, really good. And then this could then spark Black Frieza finding out about Beast Mode. They could find out about True Ultra Instinct from Goku from the sources of what remains from the Heaters. Maki and Oil, remember, they work for Frieza now? They would have seen True Ultra Instinct, they would have had some intel, then Frieza would want to come to Earth to check out what these fools are doing. He would then see Gohan Beast, and he'll be like, oh yes, that Gohan kid, I remember him, he was kind of neat. I'd like to fight him. And then Gohan Beast turns out to be something that is a bit of a match for Black Frieza. And then Goku's like, whoa, you're really strong, Gohan. I can't believe I completely neglected you. I'm glad you're my son. Oh, really, Dad? Oh, thank you. This validation really means a lot to me. You really do love me. You get the idea. But yeah, no, this chapter was good. I'm really, really pleased we have a chapter where the pacing isn't being dictated by a movie that we've already seen. This is its own story. It's a bridging story, sure, to the next arc, but it's a good one. It's a good one. We see Gohan Beast. It gets Goku back. I just never really expected Goku to be a good thing being in the manga of like, Goku's here. No, sorry. Goku's here! Goku's here! That's what everyone probably was collectively saying. But yeah, no, this was a good one. But again, if you can't be bothered to read through that entire superhero arc, you can go and watch this video next, and that clues you up